Close your eyes. Breathe in. Now, imagine nothing. Not darkness, because that's just the absence of light. This is older, deeper. It's the silence before anything could ever exist. No stars, no sky, no space. Just an endless, whispering void, suspended in a time that hasn't even been born yet. Here, even silence feels too loud. This is the beginning before all beginnings. The first heartbeat of nothingness. The ancient Norse called it Ginangapta, yawning void. Picture it. A great, endless gulf, wider than imagination and deeper than despair. No top, no bottom, no sides. To the north, a realm breathes a slow, eternal exhale of mist and ice. This is Niflheim, world of frost, shadow, and eternal cold. Here, rivers of venom run like frozen veins through a fog so thick it chokes the soul. But far to the south, another power burns. Muspelheim, the world of fire. Its light doesn't shine, it devours. Its flames roar like beasts, a storm of hunger and brilliance. At its heart stands a figure of molten power. Surtur, the fire giant, whose sword blazes like a sun that has not yet been born. For ages, these two worlds stare across the gap fire and frost, opposites divided by eternity. But the void is restless. Slowly, the breath of fire drifts across to nothing and meets the sigh of ice. And when they touch, the impossible happens. A single drop falls, sizzling softly in the dark. That hiss is the first sound the universe ever made. Then another drop, and another. Mist gathers, and within it, something stirs. From the melting ice rises a shadow, vast and ancient. This is Ymir, the first being, born from the raw meeting of opposites. He is both frost and flame, death and life. Asse breathes. The void hums with power. From his very sweat, other forms begin to stir the Jitner, the frost giants, ancient children of chaos. But the void isn't done. From the same melting ice comes another being, a great cow. Her milk flows in 4 rivers, feeding Ymir. As she licks the salty, frozen stones for sustenance, she uncovers something new, a shape hidden in the ice. Slowly, a face emerges. Then shoulders, then arms. A man, shining with quiet light. His name is Buri, the first of the gods. From him will come the 3 brothers Odin, Vili, and Vehu will one day tear Ymir apart and build our world from his remains. The moment Ymir opens his eyes and Buri takes his first breath, the web of fate begins to weave. The Norns, the sisters of destiny, are already spinning their threads, whispering of what is to come. The betrayal, the fire, the wolves that will swallow the sun, and the twilight of the gods. In the Norse world, creation and destruction are the same song. The gods will build their world on the bones of a giant, but everything that begins will one day end. Because one day, the fire will return. Surtur will lift his burning sword, and all that was will burn again. So let's begin our journey here, at the edge of nothing, where the story of gods, giants, and fate first took shape. Thanks for joining me on this journey into myth. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next chapter. See you next time. In the beginning, there was nothing. A vast, silent emptiness, called Gine. To one side, the land of fire, Muspelheim, hissed with unbearable heat. To the other, the land of ice, Niflheim, crept with endless frost. For an age, they existed apart, until the warmth of the fire met the cold of the ice. And in that meeting, something stirred. The ice began to sweat, and from those first drops of water, a figure took shape, vast, immense, primordial. This was Ymir, the first of all beings, a frost giant. As he slept, more giants were born from his body, chaotic and unpredictable. The universe, still a newborn, began to hum with their restless energy. But even a giant needs to eat. From the same melting ice, another being arose, Ahumla, the great cow. 4 rivers of milk flowed from her, feeding Ymir and his kin, while Ymir fed Alhumla licked the salty ice blocks for her own nourishment. Day after day, she licked. First, she uncovered a single hair, then a head, then a full body from the eyes. She freed Buri, the first of the gods, Buriad Asombor, who in turn had 3 sons of his own, Odin, Vili. Unlike the giants, born of chaos, these brothers were born of will and purpose. They looked upon Ymir and his unruly children and saw not family, but imbalance. They knew something had to be done. So they waited. Asimia slept his snores, shaking the void. The brothers made their move. They fell upon the great giant, and the battle was cataclysmic. Ymir's roar became the first storm. When he finally fell, his blood rushed out in a great torrent, a primordial ocean that drowned all but 2 of the giants. From this act of cosmic violence, the brothers began to create. They weren't just destroyers, they were builders. They took Ymir's colossal body and made the world. His flesh became the earth. His bones they piled up to form the mountains. His teeth and shattered bones became the rocks and stones, the vast ocean that surrounded it all. That was his blood. They took his skull and raised it high to form the dome of the sky, and sparks from Muspelheim's fires were flung up to become the stars. His brain they tossed into the air, where it became the clouds. The world was beautiful, but empty. The gods divided it into realms. Into center, they made Midgard, the world of men. High above, they built their own golden realm, Asgard, and far away, in the cold, misty lands of Jotunheim, the surviving giants nursed their hatred and waited. To connect all these realms, a great tree began to grow Yggdrasil, the axis of the cosmos. But a world needs more than just landscapes. Walking along a seashore, the brothers found 2 pieces of driftwood, an ash and an elm. Odin breathed life into them. Vili gave them thought and feeling. Va gave them sight, hearing, and the shape of humans. They were Askenembla, the first man and woman. The gods placed them in Midgard to populate it, protecting them from the giants with a wall made from Ymir's eyebrows. And so, the world as we know it began. Humans learned to build, to love, and to dream. The gods ruled from Asgard, feasting and singing. But this peace was fragile. The Norse believed that nothing lasts forever. Deep in Hota, Tunaim the giants remembered their ancestor Ymir. They remembered the blood and the betrayal, and they knew that one day, their time for vengeance would come. The world was born from violence, and it would one day end in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the sagas, do you forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more tales from myth and legend. We'll see you next time. And when the primordial blood had cooled and the seas settled into their beds, something vast began to stir at the center of all things. From soil made of flesh and rivers that ran with veins, a tree began to grow. Its roots sought the cold beneath and the fire below. Its trunk thickened. Its bark gleamed like frozen gold, and then its branches unfurled into the heavens. This was Yggdrasil, the ash tree of existence, the spine of the universe, the living bridge between all that was, is, and will be. The gods gathered beneath its branches and understood what they had made was not just one world, but many. High above all, resting on plains of endless light, stood Asgard, the stronghold of the Aesir gods. Here walked Odin, the Allfather grey-bearded, one-eyed, cloaked in wisdom and storm. He had traded his eye for a vision that pierced through time, and what he saw would haunt him forever. He built Asgard not as a monument to triumph, but as a bulwark against the chaos that still whispered from the void. Beside him stood the new gods of this age, bright Thor, fierce Tyr, and wise Hum. Beyond Asgard lay Vanaheim, home to the gentler Vanir gods of nature and peace. The 2 tribes once clashed in a war that shook Yggdrasil's roots, but from their truce came a new unity, and the beautiful twin gods, Freyr and Freya, joined the halls of Asgard. To the east glowed Alfheim, the realm of the light elves, beings of quiet grace, born from the first sunbeams. Beneath the sky dome, cradled between mountain and sea, lay Midgard, the middle realm, our world. Here, the first humans, Ask and Embla, spread across the land, building huts, then halls, then dreams. And across the roaring rivers, in the land of dwelled the giants, the first children of chaos, their hearts carved from ice and vengeance. They were ancient, resentful, and forever bound in a strange kinship to the very gods who had defeated their ancestors. In the Norse world, order and chaos are never truly separate. They are married by necessity, forever feeding one another. Deep beneath all things lay the oldest realms, Nivalheim, a land of endless frost and winding rivers of venom, where the serpent Ni, Hgir, gnaws at Yggdrasil's deepest roots, and opposite it, Muspelheim, the realm of fire, where the giant Surtur waits with a sword brighter than the sun, dreaming of the day he will march forth to end all things. Between these extremes lay Sportalfheim, the cavernous home of the dwarves, small in stature, but vast in skill. They were the master craftsmen who forged the legendary treasures of the gods, Thor, Eshama, Magell, Odin's spear Gungnir, and countless other marvels that would shape destiny itself. With the realms in place, the gods filled the silence with laughter and quarrels. Odin, in his quest for wisdom, hung himself upon Yggdrasil for 9 nights to learn the secrets of the runes. Where Odin pondered, Thor thundered, the mighty son of Odin, defender of gods and men. His hammer crushed mountains and called lightning from the sky. He was the protector, the strength of Asgard's heart. And then there was Loki. Not quite god, not quite giant, but something in between. He was handsome, clever, and sharp as the wind, a friend to Odin, a companion to Thor, and the source of every disaster. Loki's mind was a mirror, reflecting everyone's truths, but never revealing his own. Asgard glittered. The meat flowed. When brave mortals fell in battle, Odin's Valkyries would sweep down to carry their souls to Valhalla, where they would feast and fight until the final day. The golden age of the gods shone bright, but a shadow lay beneath every feast. At the edge of the firelight, Loki smiled. His whispers traveled to giants, to gods, to anyone who would listen. And though his laughter echoed through the golden halls, its edge was already turning sharp, because no god, no realm, no light under Yggdrasil's branches can ever truly escape the mischief of chaos. Before sorrow, there was laughter. Before fire consumed the world, there was a voice clever, silver, and bright. He wasn't like the others. Not Aesir or Vanir. Not giant or man. He existed in the spaces between things, the fine line where truth bends into a lie, where order meets chaos. His name was Loki, and his smile could calm a storm. Or Istar, one. He walked among the gods of Asgard as if he belonged. But even Odin, the Allfather, couldn't say where he came from. Some whispered he was a child of frost giants, born of flame and deceit. Others claimed he was a gift from the void itself, a spark of mischief left over from creation's dawn. But whatever his origins, the gods couldn't help but keep him close. Loki was the laughter in their golden halls, the sharp wit that cut through an eternity of boredom. He was the clever hand that could fix what no one else could, or sometimes break what no one else dared to touch. In the beginning, Loki was loved. He shared mead with Odin, walked beside Thor on long journeys, and teased Freya until she couldn't help but smile. He was, in his own way, the restless, brilliant soul of Asgard, and the gods needed him. Mighty as they weren't always wise, and Loki's cunning often saved them from their own folly. But one night, drunk on mead and mischief, Loki snuck into the chambers of Sif, Thor's golden-haired wife. As she slept, her hair spread like a field of wheat. He cut it all off, every single shining strand. When Thor awoke to his wife's tears, his rage was like a storm cloud ready to burst. Ace said Loki, lifting him off the ground. "Fix it!" Thor growled, his voice rumbling like the roots of the world. Even as he choked, Loki managed to smile. "Give me a day," he gasped. He fled to the dwarven forges and he flattered, pleaded, and promised them gold he didn't have. In return, the dwarves forged wonders. A new head of hair for Sif, spun from pure gold that grew and shone brighter than before. But they also crafted Gungnir, Odin's unbreakable spear, and Skidbladnir, Frey's ship that could fold into a pocket. Loki returned a hero. Thor's anger dissolved into laughter, and the gods toasted his name. But the dwarves remembered his deceit, and they would forge more gifts in the future gifts that would twist fate itself. Later, Loki's pride got the better of him. He boasted he could make the dwarves craft even greater treasures. The gods challenged him, and Loki went back down to the dark forges, taunting the brothers Brokkr and Sindri into a wager. He transformed into a fly, biting and buzzing to sabotage their work. But still, they hammered on. They produced 3 marvels. Goldenborste, a golden boar faster than any horse, Dropner, a ring that multiplied itself every 9 nights, and finally, Meglalnir, the thunder hammer, so powerful that only Thor could wield it. The gods declared the dwarves the winners. Loki had wagered his head, and Brokkr came to collect. "You can have my head," Loki laughed, "but not my neck." The dwarves, furious, sewed his mouth shut with iron thread. For a time, Loki's laughter was silenced. When he finally smiled again, it was sharper, colder, tainted with humiliation. Restlessness grew in Loki's heart. He found comfort where others found fear. Jotunheim, the land of giants. There he met Angerboda, the bringer of sorrow. From their union came 3 children, not meant for an age of peace. First was Fenrir, a wolf with eyes that burned with foresight. Second, Jarmanganda, a serpent so vast it could encircle the world and bite its own tail. And last, Hel, a daughter born half-living, half-dead. When the gods learned of these children, the laughter in Asgard died. Odin's ravens had whispered prophecies from Loki's bloodline. The end of all things would come. "They are not children," Odin said, his voice heavy. "They are prophecies with teeth." The gods acted swiftly. They cast Jarmangandr into the deepest ocean. They banished Hel to the realm of the dead, to rule in Niflheim's shadows. But Fenrir, the wolf, was different. They tried to raise him in Asgard, but he grew too strong, too fast. They forged chain after chain to bind him, and he shattered every one. Finally, the dwarves crafted Gleipnir, a ribbon as thin as silk, made from things that cannot exist. The sound of a cat's footfall, the breath of a fish. Fenrir was suspicious. He agreed to be bound only if a god placed a hand in his mouth as a show of trust. Only Tyr, the god of honor, was brave enough. When the ribbon held fast, Fenrir knew he was betrayed. He bit down, and Tyr's hand was gone. The gods left the wolf bound and howling. His cry is the first note in the song of Ragnarök. Loki's joy was gone. His tricks had lost their magic. He watched his children cast away to the sea, to the shadows, to chains. Where the gods once smiled, they now turned away, calling him liar, troublemaker, father of monsters. He still smiled, but it was a smile that didn't reach his eyes. And in that cold smile, the seeds of doom began to sprout. When a god's laughter dies, the end of the world begins to stir. It started with a dream. Baldur, the most beautiful of all the gods, son of Odin and Frigg, woke up shaking. His dream, he saw darkness swallowing his light, his own body falling, pale and still. When he told the other gods, the great hall fell silent. Because Baldur wasn't just beautiful, he was beloved. Where he walked, flowers bloomed. When his mælið, storm skal með. If light itself could take a physical form, it would be him. But dreams in Asgard were never just dreams. Frigg, his mother, spoke to Odin through her tears. The world whispers that our son will die, that shadows gather where his light burns brightest. Odin knew, from the edges of time, where the threads of fate are woven, something dark was stirring. So Frigg did something unprecedented. She traveled to every corner of creation and made everything gods, beasts, stones, rivers, fire swear an oath, never to harm Balder. Iron swore, fire swore, earth and tree and storm they all swore. Balder became untouchable. The gods celebrated by making a game of it. They threw spears, axes, and stones at Balder, who just stood there laughing as every weapon veered away. Even Thor's mighty hammer couldn't touch him. The gods roared with joy. In Balder, they saw proof that light could never die. But in the back of the hall, half hidden in shadow, Loki watched. His face was unreadable, his eyes like cold fire. He watched their perfect game, their perfect joy, and something inside him twisted. He saw Balder flawless, adored, untouchable. In that beauty, Loki saw everything he was not. That night, Loki walked alone. He listened for what Frigg might have missed, and there, clinging to an oak branch, he found it. A small, pale plant. Mistletoe. So small, so harmless. No oath had been demanded of it. Loki smiled, broke off a sprig, and fashioned it into a dart. Light as breath, but sharp as destiny. The next day, the gods were playing their game again. Only one stood apart. Echar Balder's blind brother. Loki approached him, his voice kind. "Why don't you play, Echar?" "I cannot see," Echar replied. Loki smiled. "It would honor him. Here, I'll guide your hand. Take this dart." Achere citated. But Loki placed the mistletoe dart in his hand. A whisper, a step, a release. The dart flew straight and true, striking Balder in the chest. For the first time, Balder didn't laugh. He looked down, confused, ... and then he fell. The laughter died. The hoe went still. Balder lay motionless, the light gone from the world. For the first time since creation began, light had died. The sun dimmed. The world tree, Yggdrasil, shivered. And when the gods turned to Loki, he was gone. Only the echo of his laughter remained, curdling into silence. Odin's grief turned to fury. The gods hunted Loki down, catching him by the sea's edge. They dragged him to a dark cave and chained him with the entrails of his own son. Above him, they hung a serpent, its venom dripping onto his face forever. His screams became the earthquakes that shake our world. But even through the pain, Loki smiled, because he knew something the others didn't. The chains would not hold. The end had already begun. High above, the gods try to forget. But deep below, Loki waits. Every drop of venom brings the twilight closer. The chains won't hold forever. Ragnarök is coming. Have you ever wondered what happens when the gods die? When the final battle is fought and the world itself burns? This isn't just a story. It's a prophecy whispered through the ages. The tale of Ragnarök, the twilight of the gods. The wind has stopped. For centuries, the gods of Asgard feasted, their laughter echoing through golden halls. But that laughter has turned hollow. Far in the east, the great wolves Skull and Hati are closing in on the sun and the moon, their hunger unending. On Midgard, the world of men, whispers turn to cries of fear. The earth itself begins to heave, and the great world tree, Yggdrasil, groans in agony. Deep below, a chained god, Loki, feels his bonds weaken. The venom that once caused him pain has burned away everything but pure, sharp hatred. The chains won't hold forever. The twilight is coming. Then, the world breaks. The great serpent Jormungandr thrashes in the sea, sending waves crashing against mountains. The monstrous wolf Fenrir howls, shattering the magical runes that bind him. From the south comes Surda, the fire giant, his flaming sword ready to slice the horizon. The rainbow bridge, Bifrost, burns under the march of his fiery legions. In Asgard, the guardian Heimdall sees them coming. He lifts his great horn, and the call echoes through all 9 realms. It is not a call to battle, but a cry of despair. On the endless, barren field of Vigrid, the armies gather. Gobs against giants, order against chaos. Light against darkness, the silence before the storm is deafening. Then, the clash. Odin, the Old Father, charges to meet the wolf Fenrir, but prophecy is cruel, and the great god is devoured. Thor, god of thunder, faces the world serpent. He strikes a final, mighty blow with his hammer. Ymir, killing the beast, but stumbles back, poisoned by its venom, and falls. One by one, the gods meet their foretold doom. The sky tears open. The stars fall. Like rain, and then fire consumes all. When the flames die, there is only silence. A world burned clean, but beneath the ash, a single golden seed pulses with life. From it, a new sprout of Yggdrasil emerges. A new sun rises. Two humans, Elf and Liftthracer, who hid within the World Tree, step out into a fresh, green world. Life begins again. The cycle is complete. Creation, destruction, and rebirth. A powerful reminder that every ending is just a new beginning in disguise. The wind moves softly now. Through dark pine forests, it sighs, carrying the scent of cold and wood smoke. Somewhere, far away, an owl calls once and is silent again. The fires of Ragnarök have long burned out. The world that rose afterward stands quiet, fresh, green, and young. Yet the air still holds a faint echo of what once was. The clang of divine weapons, the roar of beasts, the hymns of heroes. When the snow falls upon this new earth, it settles gently where Asgard once shone, where the Bifrost arched like color-made flesh. The snow knows. It covers, but does not forget. Each flake carries a memory of laughter in the golden halls, of Odin's one-eyed gaze upon the stars, of Freya's tears turned to amber. They fall without sound, and yet they tell stories to the ground they touch. Sit quietly, now. Listen. You can almost hear them, the whispers beneath the snow. The old gods speaking to the wind. Not with words, but with memory. It is said that the North keeps its secrets, not in stone, but in silence. In the old tongue, they called it word fate, woven like a thread, looping without end. The Norse did not believe in a straight path of life and death, but in a circle. From Ymir's blood to the birth of the world, from Odin's wisdom to his fall in the jaws of Fenrir, all of it was written, and yet lived freely. It is a strange kind of peace to know that even the gods could not flee destiny, and yet they faced it, laughing. They did not worship perfection. They worshipped courage, the act of standing tall when the end was certain. That was the Norse heart, to love the storm that would one day take you. And so the circle turns again. New gods may rise, old names may fade, but the rhythm remains. Creation, ruin, rebirth. Every sunset is a memory of a fallen god. Every sunrise, the whisper of a rebirth yet to come. Fate is not cruel, only endless. And in that endlessness, there is a quiet beauty. There is still a fire burning in the north, not in halls of gold, but in hearts that remember. Every storyteller who speaks of Thor's thunder, of Loki's laughter, of Odin's sacrifice, they keep that fire alive. The gods may sleep, but stories do not. They move from tongue to tongue, from parent to child, from one age into the next. That is the true immortality. Not power, not dominion, but remembrance. So when you see the northern lights dance again, pause for a moment. Breathe. Know that what once was still is in story, in heart, in the quiet fire of wonder. The northern lights fade. The fire grows low. The old gods sleep, but their voices remain in the wind. Now, let your thoughts drift like a ship under moonlight, sailing across endless stars. No waves, no storm, only the sound of soft oars and the hush of the northern sea. Sleep, traveler. The story has ended and begun again. Thank you for listening to this tale. If these stories speak to you, please like and subscribe for more journeys into myth and legend.